Hello and welcome to my August book haul. Now I have done a couple of book hauls already this month. So I already did a sort of mystery unboxing where I bought a box of 20 books that I didn't know what they were going to be, and I unboxed them here on my channel for you. It was a really fun video to make, so I will link it here for you if you would like to go and check that one out. And I also did a mini book haul of some books that I picked up at an independent bookshop called Gaze the Word here in London, and they are books that contain polyamorous relationships for the most part. One of them doesn't, but the other four do. So I will also link that video up there for you, and if you want to see the books that I hauled in those two videos, you can go and watch them. These are the other books that I picked up during the month of August, because clearly 25 books wasn't enough already. No, but in seriousness, I have 10 books here to show you, and 4 of them were actually gifts. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the gifts. This first one is Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton, and this was from my lovely friend Lisa. Thank you again so much, Lisa. I really appreciate this. This is a fae fantasy story, and I think it's romance as well, because it starts off with, "We were meant to be seductive, we were designed to lure humans in." So our protagonist is Fortuna, and she is the last of her species, and then a fae decides that he is in love with her and wants to be with her. And I think it's meant to be quite dark as well, and it just sounds really fun. It's been on my wish list for ages, and Lisa very kindly picked it up for me, so thank you. And by the way, I will link the bookstagrams of all of these people down in my description box, so you can go and check out. So Lisa is from the platform Lisa Shibest. And this next one was a gift from Lee from the channel LJ Book Reviews, and that is Flawed by Cecilia Ahern, which is another one that's been on my Amazon wish list for quite a while. This one is dystopian in theme, and I think it's also sort of mystery type story, but in a dystopian, well, I think it's like one of those, is it a dystopian, is it a utopian, which one is it? Really is dystopian. And the character Celestine breaks a rule in this perfect society, and so is branded flawed, and she has to deal with that unfathomable thing. So thank you so much, Lee, for getting this for me. I really appreciate it. This next one is absolutely beautiful, so we're going to take a moment to just appreciate this cover. It is gorgeous. It's also floppy. Fortuna Sworn is also floppy and also gorgeous, but there's something about this copper foiling, I can't help myself. So this is Perfectly Preventable Deaths by Deirdre Sullivan, and I was gifted this one by Joanne from What Candy Reads, so thank you so much, Joanne, for gifting me this lovely book. Again, been on my Amazon wish list for absolutely ages. I think that this is sort of towards the younger end of young adult, possibly almost into the middle grade kind of age range. And I think I'm just going to read you the blurb for this one. So 16-year-old twins Maddie and Caitlin have moved to Ballyfran, an isolated, peculiar town in the mountains, a place where, for generations, teenage girls have gone missing. Caitlin has always been the confident one, and Maddie is used to being in her shadow. But in Ballyfran, their paths divide, and Caitlin falls in love, and Maddie begins to discover powers she never knew she had. Maddie will have to find something hidden deep within her if she is going to prevent her sister losing more than her heart to this strange town. But There's no compass for the human heart, and what feels right might be more dangerous than either sister realised. There's no such thing as safe in Ballyfran. So this is, it sounds kind of creepy and slightly within the horror-ish genre, but because it's towards that younger end of YA or middle grade, I felt like this is, you might know, I'm keen to try and read more horror, but, you know, very, very light horror because I'm a wimp. And the final gift was from Sophia from Books and Self-Love. I really hope I've said your name right. This is Elephant Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Thank you so, so much, Sophia, for gifting me this one. Again, it's been on my Amazon wish list and my DBR for a very, very long time, and this follows a character who is very set in her ways because she has autism and Asperger's, I believe. Definitely autism spectrum disorder, possibly Asperger's as well. So she has routines that she keeps that help her to feel comfortable and feel put together. And then things start to feel like there's stuff missing, and I've heard such amazing things about this book. Everybody who I've spoken to about this book has absolutely loved it. I haven't heard a single bad review. I'm sure there are negative reviews of it, but I haven't heard any, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this one, and I should read it soon because it's been on my list for I don't even know how long. Next, we have a couple of books that I've picked up that I'm not necessarily planning on reading anytime soon, which sounds a bit strange, but it will make sense in a minute. So the first is The Darkest Surrender, which is a book in the Lords of the Underworld series. I'm not actually sure which number in the series it is. Hold on. So it's 9th in the Lords of the Underworld series by Gina Showalter. And it might sound strange to you that I've bought the 9th book in a series, but I have actually already read this series. I think I haven't read the most recent sort of 2 or 3, but I've read up to book 12. So I have read this one before, and it's one of my favourites in the series, and so I wanted to own a copy. I do want to reread it at some point, but it's not a priority necessarily, but I did want to add it to my collection, so that's why I have this one. If you don't know what the Lords of the Underworld is, it's an incredibly smutty series about the Lords of the Underworld, as you might anticipate. And essentially the Lords of the Underworld were the guardians of Zeus. And then Zeus entrusted Pandora with Pandora's box, and all of these male lords were very upset about the fact that one of the female guard, the only female guard, was the one entrusted with the box, and so they stole it, and all of the contents of the box escaped, and the box disappeared. And so Zeus has cursed each of the lords with one of the sins from the box, so hence why they are now Lords of the Underworld. And each book follows one of the lords and their love story, and they're very steamy and wonderful. And also the reason I love this one in particular is because it is the original source of my love of the competition trope. So I just really wanted to own a copy. And the other one that I picked up that I don't necessarily plan to read anytime soon is My Neighbor Totoro by Hayao Miyazaki, which is one of my favourite Studio Ghibli films. Not quite as close to my heart as Howl's Moving Castle, but this is a very close second. I love Totoro, and when I saw this edition, which is just beautiful, and it does have, it's a naked hardback, and it's sort of like a fabric-y hardback as well, and it does also have illustrations in it. And I know the story, so I'm not necessarily going to read it because the film came first. This is just a novelisation of the film, but I just really wanted to have this on my shelf because it's so pretty and it's one of my favourite stories. Next up we have a pre-order. This was Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. It's not really a Cinderella retelling. So the story of Cinderella has already happened and we're now, I think, a few 200 years into the future, when now society puts on these balls every year, and the aim of the ball is for people to couple up and people to get married as a result of the ball. And our character's name is Sophia, which is going to be interesting since that's my name. I've never read a book with a character with my name in it before, so that might be a little off-putting at first, but it's okay. It's probably told in first person anyway. It's told in first person anyway, so it doesn't matter. She doesn't want to go to the ball and she doesn't want to be chosen by a man to marry. Pretty sure it's because she likes girls, and I think the descendant of Cinderella is not very happy about this particular setup either, so they kind of work together to pull down the system, which I love, and I'm pretty sure it's sapphic, so here for it. Next up I have a couple of middle grades that I mentioned in my recent TBR video, which I will link up there for you, so I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on them because I've already spoken about them. But we have The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Metalstone by Jacqueline Moriarty, which is beautiful. And Bronte Metalstone has been brought up by her aunt after her parents left, and while she's having tea she receives a note informing her that her parents have sadly passed away, and they've left her very specific instructions that she now needs to follow. And the other one is The Unadoptables, which is also absolutely beautiful, and if you want to see a stunning naked hardback, definitely go and watch that haul. This is by Hannah Took, and it follows 5 children who are dropped off at an orphanage in rather unusual circumstances that are not typical for this particular orphanage, and then they have to go on some sort of mysterious adventure. So super looking forward to both of those, and I plan to read both of them in the month of September. And then finally we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, which is a book I have just heard so much about recently. I've heard it described as middle grade for adults, which is just perfect to me, and I have actually started this one. At the time of filming I am on page 70 of this book and I am already hooked. I plan to finish reading it tonight. In fact, I'm listening to the audiobook and following along in the physical book, and I'm really enjoying reading it that way. The narration is really, really great. This follows a character named Linus who works for the department in charge of magical youth. So he's basically a social worker who goes to these orphanages that are orphanages for children with magical abilities to make sure that everything is shipshape. And then he is shipped off to the House in the Cerulean Sea, which is a very, very special school orphanage for magical children. And I don't know what else is going to happen, but I can't wait to find out. It's so good so far. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. And if you haven't heard of it already, then just add it to your TBR, basically. That's it. And that is it. Those are all the books that I hauled this month, plus the ones in those other 2 videos. Let's just not talk about that. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.